Welcome to Roxtalks, the podcast that helps network marketers grow their business on social media. I'm Roxanne Wilson, and this month we're talking all about going live. Last week we talked about the fear of it, and now we're going to talk about the biggest pitfall when it comes to going live. Are you doing it? We'll find out. We'll be right back. I'm trying to think, how does that song go? I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. Truth be told, I just can't get enough of Be.Live. Y'all, I use it not only for my podcast, if you're watching right now, recorded via Be.Live, but also for all my live streaming. So yeah, it does both. It does live streaming as well as recorded. It is fantastic. The reason I love it is the professional feel that it gives me, the ability it gives me to engage with my audience when I'm live and bring them into the conversation. So basically what it's doing is taking that customer journey, from stranger to, oh my gosh, raving fan, and shorten that in a big way, which helps when you're looking to recruit people on your team or grow your sales. If you've not tried Be.Live, I highly, highly recommend it. My clients are loving it. And right now during our live video challenge, they're diving in using the 14-day free offer for Be.Live to really delve in and do their live videos and see the strength in it. Would you like to try Be.Live for your live videos? Simply go to bit.ly.com/Be.Live Summit or go to roxtalkspodcast.com. So you've probably been wondering, since I mentioned it, oh man, am I doing the biggest pitfall when it comes to live video? First of all, kudos to you because you're doing live video or you're getting ready to do it and you want to do it well. This is not to take away from any live videos you've done because I truly believe it's a learning process. You grow and you get better at it like anything, right? You think about the first time you tied your shoe. What did that look like? Can't even remember. But now you can do it with ease. Same thing when it comes to live video. However, what I've found is there is a pitfall that we can get really comfortable with. And if we do it over and over again, while you may be doing more and more live videos, you might find I'm just not getting that traction. I'm just not getting the engagement that I'm looking for. So let's find out if you're doing this. And the number one pitfall, dun, 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 when it comes to live videos or streaming happens to be doing too much. Are you doing too much? Like you're doing the most. Now, what do I mean by that? It can come in a couple of different things, but most times, most of the time, as I mess with my mug, forgive me, most of the time, network marketers' biggest issue when it comes to doing too much is getting on live and wanting to give all of the information. Look, there's no one who knows your product better than you do. And so I get it. You've learned and you've studied all of the amazing things about your product and your audience does not know it like you. And you want to make sure that they hear all of it. And so you want to make sure that they hear like all of the benefits because you don't know which one they might like, right? You hear me? And so you get on that live video and you start going into everything like just brain dump. It's too much. It's too overwhelming. This is going to sound a little scary to you, but I highly recommend that you pull back on all those facts. If you're like, but I've got to tell them X, Y, Z and ABC and the entire alphabet, guess what? That entire alphabet happens to be 26 different videos you can do on the same product. Yeah, you're not going to put that on one. Leave us wanting more. Leave us with enough so we can really compute why that your product or your offer is good for us, but not feel like, man, she was trying way too hard, because it does. It makes it seem like we're desperate and that we're all scatterbrained. We don't really know what we're talking about. So you want to make sure that you pull back on that, okay? Less is more. Now, planning, we talked about that last week. Preparing helps with that. So when you prepare for your live and you think, okay, I'm going to talk about X, Y, Z, there's always that extra, I want to talk about this too. Pull back, whoa, Tonto, and don't go that far. But then also ask yourself, what is the most important thing? Like, pretend you're an editor. Did you ever edit papers? I'm looking for my red pen. I can't find it. Did you ever, here it is. Do you ever edit papers? It's so much easier to edit someone else's paper, isn't it? Like, get rid of that and that and that. But when it's your own, you're like, I want it all. No, please give us less is more. It's one of the reasons I recommend, especially starting out, that my clients keep their videos to 3 minutes. Because when you have that 3-minute limit, guess what? You don't have time to tell all the things. And that helps them get really focused in on how to get a video out there that is engaging and leaves people wanting more. Okay? So you want to scale back, you want to edit it, you want to think what is the most important, not what is everything. Anything extra can be done in different videos. Now, another thing we do when we try and do too much is we think about all of that. We want to do all the bells and whistles. We want to have a call to action. We want to have this, and which a call to action is very important. But what I'd recommend for you is this. When you go into your video, especially if you're starting, have one call to action. Don't try and get me to like, comment, and share, and then go to your link and then let you know what I think about this. And don't try and ask me a bunch of questions. Have one and use that one over and over again. Here's a great thing about using the same call to action. When you use the same call to action, then I hear you. And if I didn't hear you the first time, I heard you the second. If I didn't hear you the second time, I heard you the third time. So I think it's really important when you're starting, especially, or if you're finding, gosh, I'm not getting traction. They're not responding to any of these things I'm asking them to do. Maybe you're asking them to do too much. Goes back to doing too much, that pitfall in your video. So ask for less and you're going to get more responses. Funny how that is. When you ask for less, you get more. Pretty amazing, right? The last thing I'm going to say on this is that if you, and it kind of goes back to that time limit, but doing too much also goes back to spending too much time on that video. Listen, if you give yourself free reign to just yabba, jabba, 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 you're losing the effectiveness of your video. You might be thinking, but if I stay on longer, more people will come. But if you're not giving us quality, they're not going to stay long enough. They're not going to stay around and they're not going to come back. So really release yourself from the need to be there and be there for a long time and really think to yourself, okay, if I'm there quick, get in there quick and dirty, make it good. It's progress over perfection. And I can dive in, give what I need and come right back. All right. Okay. So your goal, especially if you're doing the challenge, which by the way, if you're not part of the live video challenge, it is going on free right now. All you need to do is join the Facebook group, Social Media for Network Marketers. And there's great trainings in there, as well as a community of people who are really lifting each other up and helping and cheering each other on with the videos. If you are not doing live videos consistently right now, the challenge is for you. And by consistent, I mean like, when you're doing them and how often you're doing them each and every week. If you have no clue, then you need to get into the challenge. If you're doing videos, but golly gee willikers, you're just kind of like flying by the seat of your pants. Or maybe you're like, gosh, my videos are like 10 minutes long. And if you think back, you may not really have 10 minutes worth of content. You probably need to get into the challenge. It's going to give you focus and growth. And those who are doing the challenge right now are already learning so much. I encourage you to dive in there. Again, just go to the Facebook group, Social Media for Network Marketers. We'll be right back with Behind the Scenes. Y'all, it's March. Are we excited about March? I hope you are. It's also Women's History Month, which I'm like, I had Black History last month and now Women's History. I'm going to need to take a vacation history in April. But I'm excited that it's March. I hope you are too. It's kind of wild to think that now we're coming around a year of this, I don't know if we call it new normal, temporary normal, whatever it may be. But I think it's a really good time to check in on each other. Something we were doing at the beginning of the pandemic, but we may be forgetting to do right now. What I'm noticing is that we all have different highs and lows, right? And right now is a time where I really recommend checking on people, because those who were like plugging and chugging and doing really well during the whole pandemic, at some point they're human too. They're going to crack. They're going to need you. So I just want to take a moment and say, check on each other, see how we're doing, all the things. This week has been, I actually felt guilty this week because I have not personally been doing as much work it's not fair, as much intense work for my business, rocking it out with the new members of Social Stories. And that's been fantastic. And of course, doing the live video challenge, and all the goodies with that. But I took a pause and I was voxing with my friend Megan. And I said, Megan, I feel guilty. Like I should be doing something. Like, this is so weird. And she's like, Roxanne, the pace you were going pre-summit is not normal. You should not be doing that all the time. You do those highs and then you take it back. I'm like, you're right. But it's been weird for me to just get into, I did the pause is over, but now I'm still like, oh, the water's like, wow, it's not too wavy. It's just kind of like chilling. So I got to give myself it's okay to do that. It's okay to be that way. It's fine in a good way. So that's been going on. And then really my sister's birthday, which will have passed by the time you hear this. This is the 4th. So her birthday's tomorrow. So I'm very excited about that I don't get to see her. She's off in Arizona. Actually, two of my sister's birthday will be gone by the time you listen to this. And the other one is in Houston. So I don't get to see them, but I'm excited. Like, it gets me excited knowing that their birthdays are coming up, and just trying to make that special for them. That's what I've got going on. Just, I feel, like I said, I feel it's like we're just pacing, like I'm just pacing. But I will say today we had Katie Farrell come in to talk to us all about accounting, the business of network marketing. And it was phenomenal. In fact, I will put a link on the show note page if you were like, man, I wanted to catch that and I didn't. She was answering some great questions people had about accounting and all those things, but also giving us some strength and power and the skills that we needed to know, hey, we know if our network marketing business is rocking, or we know we can see the numbers and see how it's going, which is so very important. So it was exciting time. Other than that, I got some surprises on my way, but I will hold off on sharing those. Surprises and some special guests for the podcast coming very soon. So you just have to stick around and check that out. So that's what I have going on. Nothing major, but I think it's a reminder to everyone we have these times where you have these seasons of like intensity and seasons of moderate and then seasons of pause. And those are all great seasons. It's been fun and doing all of those. But, I'm one of those like type A personalities. So I really want to go, 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 go. So that's, I think, what's been a little bit difficult. I will mention one other thing that's a shame on me for avoiding, but this week as well, backstory on me really quickly. I went to Baylor University. I was the first female and the second African-American in the oldest fraternity, was oldest fraternity at the school. And that was an experience. Just imagine that if you can. And it has been 24 years now since I pledged, and the current membership asked me to come speak. And they had some pretty pointed and specific questions they wanted to know about. They wanted to know what it was like being the first girl, which I've been asked that before, but they wanted to specifically know about racism and sexism. And that was like, anything for Baylor. So I said yes. But then I was like, oh boy, I've got to pull off the cobwebs and have some interesting conversations and talk about some things that, me, I'm like, hi, like I don't necessarily want to talk about that were very personal that I lived through. And so that was a challenge, but I did it, put on my big girl panties, and I did it. And what I found in the wake of that is that not only, thank the good Lord in heaven above, that it made a difference for them. So that was very, like, to see that is empowering in its own way. Not only that, but the healing that I didn't realize that I needed, that it has afforded me, being able to look at things and go, yeah, this really was what it was. And this was the impact it had on me, and not feel like a victim. But, you think back, and I think at some point was probably concerned that if I looked back if I unlocked that door that was deep down and locked up, I would feel like I was weak. And the good news is I don't feel that way. It actually makes little 17. Yes, I was 17 when I pledged that fraternity. 17 to 21-year-old Roxanne feel a little bit stronger than she did back then. And so that's been really healing in a way that was unexpected. There've been some uncomfortable conversations since I had that, since I presented. And even that presenting was like I got a little emotional at times. Even that was super duper hard, but there's work to be done, and to whom much is given, much is expected. And so I take that responsibility seriously. And it's been nice to know that there's been a little healing for me in the midst of it as well, too. It would be wrong for me to ignore that part of me. And so there it is. Okay, that's all. And now I'm leaving you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. I can't wait to see your live videos come to fruition. Join that challenge. It's going to be fantastic. And if you are still afraid, or if you're afraid in general, not still, but if you're afraid of going live, I highly recommend you listen to last week's podcast where we dive into some things that can help you, 3 in a bonus, that can help you get really focused when you are, and hopefully give you some strength when you're about to go live and get you past that fear. You're not ahead. You're not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. And I'll see you next week for another episode of Roxtalks. Take care.